Meus amigos, estamos de volta e agora para falar sobre algo que irá acontecer já no mês de junho e que envolve algumas figuras de destaque de Portugal e não só. E para falar sobre o assunto temos a secretária da Junta de Diretores da PALCUS e também a diretora-gerente desta mesma junta. É uma cara já conhecida, já esteve aqui para falar sobre ela e a sua carreira, mas hoje está para falar precisamente dessa iniciativa e outra que vem daqui a 2 anos, mas que já começa a ser preparada. Senhoras e senhores, é com muito gosto que damos novamente as boas-vindas a Marie Fraley. Hello, Marie.
Hello, Ricardo.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And this time, your favorite type of interview, where we really don't talk about you.
That's good. That's good.
We talk about your activity throughout the Portuguese community, in this case, PALCUS, correct?
That's correct.
How many years have you been involved with PALCUS now, Marie?
I've been a charter member of PALCUS since 2003, and I've served on the board of directors for about 10 years.
Excellent. And you're here this evening to talk about something that will be happening in the month of June. You know, June is going to be a very eventful month when we talk about Portugal and celebrating Portugal and different initiatives surrounding Portugal. And some of them happening here and others in other parts of the East Coast, like what you're going to talk about here tonight, correct?
Right.
What is this big event that is happening in June, other than the Day of Portugal, obviously?
Well, first, if I may,
You may.
Thank you for having me on again. And just to orient your viewers a little bit, PALCUS is the Portuguese-American Leadership Council of the United States. And it was founded 27 years ago. And it is the only national organization that advocates for Portuguese Americans. And it is a nonprofit organization, and we represent all the Portuguese communities across the country. We have a very vibrant board of directors that have directors in each of the main Portuguese communities. So we have 3 directors in California, 1 in Rhode Island, who's myself, 1 in Massachusetts, who's Lisa Morris, which a lot of people, they will know her, Fernando Rosa from Connecticut. We have 3 in the New York, New Jersey area, and also 1 in Washington, D.C., and 1 in Maryland. So we make a point of knowing our individual communities when representing to the entire country. So there are a couple of things, actually, I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
And
but before we go, PALCUS, what is, just basically, what is the mission of PALCUS?
PALCUS is to be the national voice for Portuguese Americans in the United States. And we have many programs, but the main function is advocacy, especially with the caucuses of the House of Representatives and the Senate in the United States Congress.
Okay.
So, and I can talk a little bit more about that after,
Sure.
but that is the way it was founded. And so it began primarily with people who were very prominent in the community. For example, when she was starting out, Meredith Vieira is a founding member, and not too many people know that, specifically to advocate for the Portuguese community.
And for more information, obviously, they can visit the website, which is
www.palcus.org. And it'll be up on the screen.
It's up. It's up.
There you go.
So now, what are the 2 focal points of our conversation this evening? I know one of them is that event in June, then something else that's happening 2 years ago, but that begins now, actually, the preparation for.
The 2 things that I definitely want to talk about is the inaugural Portuguese-American National Conference. And that will be taking place on June 23rd in Washington, D.C. And PALCUS is organizing this in collaboration with the Embassy of Portugal, and also with the support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Portugal and FLAD, the Luso-American Foundation. This event is part of the ambassador's agenda for Month of Portugal, but is also something we've had on our radar screen for a while. Last year, PALCUS initiated the first survey of Portuguese Americans in the United States. It's called the PALCUS Index. And we're very fortunate to have Dr. Dulce Swaj-Scott as our researcher who actually constructed the survey, and many people in the community did take part in it. It was online. And what emerged, there was a lot of information about our community that emerged from that, a lot of demographic information. But the three greatest concerns that members of the community were able to identify were, one, the participation of Portuguese Americans in elected office. We have many at the local and state level, but very few at the federal level. We have 3 congressmen in California, but only 1 senator who's part Portuguese in Pennsylvania, Pat Toomey. The second thing was the sustainability of Portuguese social and civic organizations. And the third was the promotion of the Portuguese language and integrating it into public school programs. So those are the 3 main issues that Portuguese Americans are most worried about, particularly in terms of, are the young people going to be interested in getting elected, or learning the Portuguese language, or taking up the torch in the clubs and organizations that promote our culture. So the national conference, the 3 main panels, and Dr. Onésimo Almeida will moderate one, Dr. Sylvia Oliveira from Rhode Island College will moderate another, and Dr. Dulce Swaj-Scott will also moderate another. So those will be the main panels, and with some, very diverse, fantastic people who will be participating in those panels to discuss these issues. For example, Judge Philip Raposa, the retired Chief Justice of the Massachusetts Supreme Court, will be one of them. Congressman Jim Costa from California will be another one. So the point is to bring people from around the country together to discuss these topics of main concern to our community, and to come up with the end of a feeling for what the national agenda for Portuguese Americans should be, and an action plan for next steps, and how to work on some of these issues, so that we will have more social capital in American society.
There is also a keynote speaker, correct, for this June?
I cannot forget that. We're very, very excited. The keynote speaker at the conference will be the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. And we're really excited about that.
Absolutely. That's some fantastic news. What's the second issue that we're going to talk about?
The second issue has to do with the U.S. Census. And of course, the U.S. Census takes place every 10 years in the United States, and so the next one will be in 2020. However, the Census Bureau works all the time, and we have been talking to them for over 10 years about the fact that under race ethnicity, there is no particular line for Portuguese. And hence, we believe that we're being undercounted. There is a place under ancestry, but there's some confusion between race and ethnicity and ancestry, and there's also a category for origins. So right now what is happening, because they're trying to go online with the census in terms of people filling out their information, there is a test going on right now in Providence County in Rhode Island. It is the only county in all of the United States where they are doing this test. So it's very important that there be an outreach to all the communities. And the U.S. Census reached out to PALCUS, and since I'm the Rhode Island director, I've been working really tirelessly on trying to raise awareness with our Portuguese community in the Providence County. In terms of participating in the test. People will have gotten a letter in the mail, a card in the mail. You can do it online, you can call, and it's going on right now. But for people who don't respond, there will also be outreach from the U.S. Census, so people, will contact you directly, will come to your door. What we want our community to be cognizant of is, and very aware of, is that when it comes to race and ethnicity, to also click or tell them that this is other and to indicate Portuguese. And I've had some very, very intelligent and people who are very engaged with the community tell me, oh, I did it, but I didn't even know that I should do that, that I should click other and write in Portuguese. So I didn't get counted as Portuguese.
So chances are they would check off whites or as opposed to other in Portuguese. Now, I know that one of the worries and one of the reasons for not participating in a census, at least for many of them who don't get counted, is they're worried about their legal status in the United States and how this may affect them if they participate. Is there any risk?
Not that I'm aware of. I know there's been some discussion about the fact that the census wants to add citizenship to the form. The form is not completely set yet for 2020. The Census Bureau has been working on the form, and it has just gone to Congress, but it is not set. The question about citizenship is basically, what your passport is. It doesn't have to do with your legal status. Nevertheless, some people don't realize, but individual forms are not open to anybody, and they're not released for 72 years. So people who are doing their genealogy, and they go online to Ancestry.com and they see the census, you can't get them. Now, the latest one I think you can get is 1930. So no one has access to that information. So I don't think it's likely at all that anybody can see what you indicate there. Those numbers are taken in the aggregate, but not by individuals.
Okay. Let's rewind here a little bit to the June 21st, June 23rd conference. Now, is this open to the public? Is this by invitation only? Can anyone go to this event?
Absolutely. I hope to see you there as well. Yes. As a matter of fact, if anyone watching this goes to the PALCUS website, they will see on the home page a big logo, the picture of the Secretary General of the United Nations, and a big button that says register. And if you click on that, we'll take you right to the page that outlines the entire program, all the panelists, and then also a place where you can click and you fill in all your information and you can come. There's no charge for it. It's free for the conference. Of course, you have to get yourself to Washington and, perhaps stay. And then the bonus is, in the evening, the ambassador is hosting a dinner reception and a concert. We don't know who is going to perform yet, but at his residence. And it's all free. So, you know, during the day, we're looking forward to a very diverse and large crowd of Portuguese Americans from all over the country coming together to talk about issues. And then in the evening, there'll be a lovely reception at the ambassador's reception. Anybody can sign up.
Excellent. So check out palcus.org and find out more information and exactly how you can register for this great event. Portanto, 23 de junho, este Congresso Nacional de Luso-Americanos, onde o orador principal será o secretário-geral das Nações Unidas, António Guterres, entre outros oradores ao longo da tarde durante essa conferência. Ao final da noite, o Sr. Embaixador Fezas Vital oferece então jantar a todos os presentes, logo que estejam registados para o evento. Yes, Marie.
And I would encourage people to register as soon as possible. You know, it is beginning to build up quite a bit. So please do.
In the 27 years of existence of PALCUS, do you think its mission has been successful?
Yes, I do think it's been successful, but it's been ever evolving. And there is, you know, a good deal of change in the way that nonprofits in general run. And when I say nonprofit, I mean nonprofit. PALCUS runs completely on volunteer staff. All of the board of directors pay our own way to any events that we go to. So there's no hotels, no planes, no one is getting paid except for our one staff member. But to your question, more to your question, I think that what we have done in terms of trying to voice the importance of our community, especially in the U.S. Congress. For example, we held a congressional reception last October in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill, and I am very proud to say that all 4 of the congressional delegation of Rhode Island, both senators, both congressmen, all attended. And it was a great event because members of the caucuses were there and met with the PALCUS directors and our charter members and many people. And then the following day, some of the directors met with the co-chairs of the caucuses on the Hill. And we shared with them the results of the survey that I mentioned to you in the beginning, the PALCUS Index. And we have data about how many Portuguese Americans are in each of their districts. So that we can say, well, we see that this particular congressman in this particular district in New Jersey has 20,000 Portuguese Americans in his district. Why isn't he in the caucus? And the caucuses are important because the groundwork is already set up, the structure is set up, so the caucus is working on the issue at the Lajes Air Base in Terceira. Or if the visa waiver program is coming under fire, because that's reassessed every so often. The reason that we don't have to apply for visas to go to Portugal is because the PALCUS put this together a long time ago. But we have to watch it, because if it gets abused, then the State Department starts to look at it and says, well, I don't know, we may have to rescind this. So we're always monitoring that. But yes, I mean, we're always working in the interest of the community. We do podcasts, we do webinars, we do interviews with different elected officials. We have internships, we have scholarships. Please visit the website and see that everything that we have to offer.
What is the biggest challenge, in your opinion, that PALCUS has faced throughout the years?
I think it's funding. I think there's an impression that PALCUS has a lot of money, and like any other nonprofit, we work hard to raise funds to maintain the staff and the small office that we have. But everything that we do, very much, you know, we look for sponsorships and we look for people to help. We apply for grants. We do all that kind of thing. So like any other nonprofit, funding is always the challenge. But that hasn't mattered because a lot of us are very teimoso or teimosa, and we are going to do it because also in our survey we asked people, do you think it's important enough to have a national organization like PALCUS? And they've all said yes, we need it and we want it. So that's why we work at it.
On a side note, and which also involves PALCUS, last week I was showing a photo to a friend of mine from the last PALCUS event, which was held in the last one that was held in Massachusetts at the Hudson Portuguese Club.
That you emceed.
That I emceed. And there were a variety of people that were honored, as usual, at the PALCUS Gala, but on that particular year, the voice of the Patriots, Gil Santos, was honored.
Yes.
And that was in the morning that I showed this picture that I hadn't seen in months. And that evening, we hear the news that Gil had passed. So my thank you for the opportunity for me to meet that great gentleman who had a great story to tell and an unforgettable voice.
Oh, yeah.
And to his family, may his soul rest in peace. He was a good man.
Yes, we were very sad too to hear it. He was a Lifetime Achievement Award winner that year.
And it's the closest I'll ever come to a Super Bowl ring. And I think you too, Marie. We held the Super Bowl ring. That's a big ring.
He had it right there. Yes, it was, and you can see in the photo, it's right there on his hand. It's something.
Very good. Marie, thank you very much for coming by, and
thank
you for talking about PALCUS so that our viewers get a better understanding of what PALCUS does and these two great initiatives. On June 23rd, the Congress, and going on right now, the mini census in Providence County, correct?
The test.
The test. Yes. So thank you very much, Marie. All the best to you.
Thank you so
And
much.
come back anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meus amigos, voltaremos já com mais Hora Quente. Fique connosco.